Hey YouTube, what's up? This is the Reluctant Navi back again. News and views on the news and commentary. All right, and this one, you know where this is going to go. Shout out to Mecca Dawn that sent me this story, and shout out to the brother from Power 107 that I met at Circle K up in Augusta, Georgia. Headed back down to Dallas to meet with another one of the brothers from the channel. Met with Brother Felix up in Augusta, Georgia. So getting some things done, trying to set some things in place, getting some plans together. Well, anyway, that out the way. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and all the rest of that stuff. Donate if you can, only if you can. Remember, you take care of home first, and what you do out of your abundance, then you do. All right, all right. So this story was sent to me by Mecca Dawn. Like I said, go check out her channel. Um, Also, check out that guy from the Six. We did a podcast Sunday, so go check him out also. All right, this one, three youth got church members in fear. Okay, that's what happened. Here's the question: why do you have church members in fear by three youths? Second question: what happened to the white Jesus, their protector, instead of men? So y'all see where I'm going with this one. Now, this, however, is a very, very sad story. Three men from a shelter, and there's more to this even. This is going to be another story in and of itself. Three men from a shelter held in sexual assault on women leaving church. Now, the next question: why did this happen? And the problem with us in our community, we do not address the whys, or we run from it. And as you know, on this channel, we ain't running from SH. So we have to wrestle with a few questions here. Oh, shout out to a brother. I'm sitting in a J&J's Fish and Chicken, and a brother sat down by the plug. He was willing to give up his spot so I could plug in and get this story done. So shout out to the brother, and special thanks go out to that brother. Thanks, man. All right, so basically, this is the crux of this story, and it is the reason for my movement. It is why I came up here, handed out book bags. Um, from the brother from Power 107, gave him one for himself and his woman, because what he does is just before school, he gets haircuts for a lot of the young men, and let's start calling them that, for the young men in the neighborhood before they go to high school. So when they go feeling good about themselves with that fresh cut. And y'all know what that is. Y'all know what that is when you're just going into school. And some of the times it's something that they learn to maintain themselves, whatever their style may be. Now, getting back to the story, this smacks in the face of the "I don't need no man, all I need is Jesus." He thought I was to die for it, and we've heard it a while back. Now, let me tell you something about white people in their church. One of the, I don't know if he was a pastor or whatever, he relayed a story about his daughter. And what he said was, he kept telling his daughter the same thing. Oh, Jesus this, Jesus that, Jesus that. And what he realized is that he wasn't paying physical attention to his daughter. And he conveyed to his little daughter, Jesus got your back. And then the daughter said to him, but sometimes I need a hug from a person that has skin on. All right. And some of the times when you kick the black man out of the community, who's there with skin on to control those boys? Now, when you get into this story, you're going to understand that these were children from a group home. When there's no man in the community to walk around to protect you, then the Jesus is not going to be enough when the devil want to get at you with three hoods. And this is what's going on. So that's one of the answers to the question. Why did this happen? There's no risk of danger from the three boys that did this is because they expected to find a woman walking the street at night alone. Why? Because we don't need no man. We don't need no protections. We don't need them in the community. If we do, we disrespect them. The better the man act, the more disrespect he get. The worse the man act, the more the women want to be with him and respect him. It's kind of opposite, right? So basically, at the end of the day, what you have is the reason for the fatherless home. Not because men don't want to be fathers, because they're not allowed to be. Big difference. Y'all saw the statistics I put up there. The best fathers in the United States are black men. Per the CDC in the United States government that put out the study. Funny, huh? Oh, the other study put out by the courts and also the government. Just reiterate, it's the men. 70% of men take care of their child. 70% of men financially take care of their child. All right. So the problem is that the 30% that don't are having more children than the 70% that do. So when you got man like Shorty Lowe, he got 14, 15 children compared to a working man's 4 or 5. Okay, so and he ain't around to raise them. He got all them babies' mamas. Now they ain't got no money, and they have the mentality of him. So you do the numbers. You take that hard-working blue-collar man, hard-working hustling man that's trying to do for his family. He has 4 children. Dudes like Shorty Lowe, the 3 dudes in Memphis, Tennessee, that had 84 children. 84 children. All right. So that's why these women are raising children alone. Because while most men are holding it down, they're having most of their children by men that can't, won't, or ain't gonna. All right. But they don't worry about it because they got Jesus. And some of the times you got to look back and say, maybe you need the man with skin on, the real man with skin on, to pose as a threat to these thugs and hoodlums out here. And maybe it's them that stopped them from being thugs and hoodlums. Okay, so here's the story. The attack was a brutal and unsettling. It was a 50-year-old woman. She was robbed and sexually assaulted at gunpoint by a group of young men as she left church service in Queens, New York. Um, it didn't take long for the police to arrest the boys. Why? They were all living at a nearby shelter. So this go out to them women that love their kids. So much so that we don't call them children anymore, they're kids. All right. So basically, the boys are in a nearby shelter for a runaway. A woman asks, black men, why is there a rise in black men committing suicide? And I told her that some of the times it's because these black women are so evil that when the black man realizes that he can't do nothing to them because the law protects them, he protects the evil that they do. He watches and sees his children destroyed before his eyes. He watches and sees the women cause his children to hate him. He watched and see the woman where he wanted to raise the children reject him, but then run and tell him that I don't want you to raise the child, but I want you to pick him up to babysit so I can go party with some other man. He watches all this. Now, the three men, Justin Williams, 17, Brandon Walker, 20, Ulysses Ginnell, 19, were arrested after a staff member at the group home reported um, suspicions to the police on Thursday about the men being involved in sexual assault, according to SCO Family of Services. And they run the shelter. Detective has identified a fourth man suspected of having taken part in the sexual assault, and we're still looking for him Friday night. You see, this is not pretty. All right. So, in this, you got these women that are doing what they want because they don't feel like they need to have respect for the man. You got the man that's not being allowed to raise his family because the court system and the government system made a deal with the black woman that if you, knowing they couldn't do it, if you kick the man out, we'll support you. And that's what happened. So now they do what they want, but now they're starting to reap the repercussions of their choices. Why? Because if you're a strong and independent woman, you don't need no man. Them boys did, though. That's why they ended up to be the way that they were. Now, keep in mind, the arrest raised questions about the supervision at the shelter. When people want to act evil, there's nothing you can do to stop them. As soon as your back is turned, they're gone. Have the same problem with the girls I'm raising. All right, they have enough eyes, but all those eyes still isn't enough. Um, the time occurred after the shelter's curfew. So understand this. And in two cases, you see laws and rules in place that's supposed to curb, stop, or change behavior. Now, realize that nobody has to pay attention to the laws. You just accept the consequences of being disrespectful to the law. All right? But the laws don't make you obey them. If you get caught, they say, well, we have this law, here's the consequences. So that's pretty much what you have going on. Now, this is New York Department of Youth and Community Development. 3 attacks occurred around the time the shelter curfew rules, as described by the city. Generally requires residents to be back home. SCO Family Services denied that the city's curfew information was accurate, but declined to provide its own. Now, let me say this. It doesn't matter. This is what happens when you depend on the government over the fathers. This is always what's going to happen when you depend on the government over the fathers. Okay? And it's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen. The Department of Youth and Community Development said it was reviewing its contract with SCO Family Services as its protocol after such incident. We have zero tolerance for this conduct, either outside of our city-funded program, either at or outside. So Mark Zestovich, the department spokesman, said in the statement. Thanks to the fast action of SCO, these individuals were apprehended. All right. So this is what you have. Now, again, this is the law at work at its best. I want you to understand this, black people. This is the law at work at its best. The law is good at finding, punishing, putting away. But that ain't what this church lady needed. She needed prevention. So where was Jesus at? You know, the guy without skin on. You know, the name. Because you know they worship a name. And they'll tell the man with skin on, the man who could have physically been there to protect this woman, that you're not needed in the community. We got the white man's laws. All right. Now, I will say this. SCO said they're the reason these guys were apprehended so quickly. Probably because when they missed a curfew, they took note of it and they said, okay, these guys missed curfew. Then this stuff happened, and bam, bam, bada boom, bada bang. So then the police came. After the police came, they arrested the people. Then the people were arrested. They're probably going to be prosecuted. The 17-year-old probably as an adult. After they're prosecuted, they're going to be thrown into jail. Now, in jail, it doesn't change the behavior, it kind of makes it worse. All right? So now they're in jail. So all this happened. But guess what didn't happen? Prevention. I'm going to tell you what else happened. I'm going to put the story in the description box. All right. But the other thing that happened is the church members saying that they are living in fear for these children. All right. The men all had scant support from their families as part of the conditions of staying at the shelter. They had to be attending school or working. The sexual assault victim was so terrified of returning to the neighborhood that she feared going back to Celestial Church of Christ, said Pastor Kehinde Oyatunde, known as the shepherd by his parishioners. So, let me help y'all get an understanding. Okay, let me help you get an understanding. The churches are not teaching out of the Old Testament, because if they would warn these women of Isaiah 3 and 12, which says, as for my people, children, that would be this 19, 17-year-old, 20-year-old, are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Meaning that their mamas raised hellions, didn't care about them, kicked them out into the streets like many single mamas do. Most don't kick them out in the street, but many do, because they don't care about the males. To the point where the males got to make money. They're trying to get what the community got but weren't allowed to get, because their mom had no real support for them. She gave all of the love, concern, and support to the daughters, pushing them to go to college by hook or crook. The son, they get pushed out in the street. They make the daughters masculine, the sons feminine. Try to make the daughters masculine minded and the sons feminine minded. And this is good, no good for either. And so at the end of the day, this is what you have to deal with. All right. Now, when all the stuff, and one of the things I was talking about the brother, some of the brothers did, that we recognize that everything that is done in this country is done to promote the woman. The girls above the boys, the women above the men, every program. And this is why the communities are getting worse and worse. It isn't the women that build the community. The women don't even maintain the community without the men. The women cannot protect the community without the man. It's the man that is the builder and protector. But when you have no programs to help the boys become good men, then you're going to get this. When the boys are left by their moms to hang out to dry, all right, when they're left to hang out to dry, then this is what you get. This is what you get. So now you got the crust. Now you got the crust of my channel. My channel is simply this. My is simply this. That at the end of the day, if we don't look out for the boys growing into men, the black women won't and the system won't. You see what I mean? That's basically it. Now, basically, at the end of the day, who's going to help the boys? Me, for my part, I'm going to do what I can. But then I ask, who's with me? That's the last question I'm going to ask. Now, don't forget to get them thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. And when you subscribe, click that bell. And when you click the bell, if there's a drop down box, click all. My donation link will be in the description box. And on this one, y'all, I am going to stop the GoFundMe campaign because it's better to give money to the favelas the same way we've been doing. All right. And besides, I tried to set up a bank account using sending it directly to them, and they said we need to do it the way I've always been doing it because of sending things that way for the children, because of doing it that way, confusion between the banks. All right, so we're going to go back to our old way of doing things. So for those that can donate. Remember, take care of your family and home. And for those that when I stop the GoFundMe, the money, I guess, returns back to you. If you wish to donate it again, just use my PayPal me in the description box, right? Now, your situation may change. If you don't have it to give, for those that gave, it was only 3 people anyway. All right, then that's understandable too, okay? But thank you for your effort. All right, so with that said, I'm out. All right, don't forget, let's get them thumbs up and let's share and subscribe. Peace.